everybody.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us here at Finders Keepers.
We're showing you today kind of a behind the scenes kind of thing. It's a process video. It's a 12 by 12 layout that I put together. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Rachel.
And using our kit, Hocus Pocus, which is just out and is new in our shop. And I'm going to show you my process in designing it.
But wait, Sarah, how much was it?
Oh, it's $26. You get everything for these two layouts.
12 by 12.
12 by 12 layouts. And then you have tons left over because there's...
Right.
There's a lot of paper. So
I just want you to... In.
Yeah. Okay, so... This is me. I always start with pictures. I go from pictures to layout, and that's just, the pictures are my inspiration. So that's where I start, and then I lay out all my papers. And here I'm just kind of seeing what goes, like which papers work with which photos and how I might want to do my matting. And
because that's important. We like to mat all of our photos.
Yeah, so I'm trying all the different combinations and seeing what might work for me. And when you get the kit, you can decide for yourself what you want to put where. I'm just kind of figuring out, like, I kind of wanted that black paper to be like a fine mat around my top paper. Mm-hmm. So I was figuring out all my measurements and just kind of working from there. And yeah, so that's what I did. And with the top pages, this one, the orange and the golden paper with the big pictures on them, I cut mostly from the top and the right side of the paper, because you have to look at the pattern and see where you can kind of give up stuff.
What can you give up? Because these papers have a lot of stuff in them, and you kind of have to make some choices.
I'm having trouble with those little...
We always have trouble with our adhesive.
Yeah.
Sarah likes a lot of adhesive.
I do. I'm an over-adhesiver.
We learned that today.
There's a support group.
Yes.
And I do.
We meet monthly.
I like things to be stuck for good. So there I am. And so there is my first page all done, and now I'm going to put the second one together, and it's just, again, like, you can see the back sides of the pages. You could use those too if you like those better, but this is just what I was doing.
And then you've set one of the pages aside and just are kind of laying out your elements to see placement?
Yeah, I always do a total layout. I do all the placement first and lay it all out with the photos and everything, and I go, okay, that's how I want it, and then I bring the other paper in and do that, because sometimes you never know, you might think, oh my gosh, this little embellishment that I've glued down into place would have been way better on the other page. So I always lay out both pages first, and then I adhere everything down, and so that's the pattern you'll see on this little process video. And I'm just cutting my mats now. I'm looking, I did different matting patterns for every picture because I wanted it to be kind of hodgepodgey, because it's Halloween.
It's Halloween.
So it's not so much about like matchy and everything's the same, as everything's slightly off.
Which is Halloween.
Which is kind of Halloween.
Slightly off.
So yeah, so that's kind of my mindset there. So
I love the way you lay down the different papers to see the different matting. It looks really cool.
Yeah, there's like a wood spider webby one, and there's a chevron, and there's also the third one.
The other one.
And you know what it is? It's a coffee vintage print from Bo Bunny. It's really nice. It's real subtle pattern.
It's like this dark brown.
There it is right there. The back side's a polka dot, and the front side is just this vintage. So now all my photos are done. Boom. Done. Okay, so now I'm ready to lay everything in place and to see where I wanted things. All of these die cuts that you're seeing in this kit are hand stamped and
cut for you
and ready to go.
So they're like die cut elements that you can just...
And you see this one here, I cut it in half, the one that goes under creepy. I took one of the die cuts and cut it in half to make a little frame for it. And I did a little bit of fussy cutting with some of my extra paper.
These pumpkins are just printed on the paper, so you just chose some and then cut them out?
Yeah, there's pumpkins and skulls on this paper, and I used some of each, actually.
Actually?
Truth be told, I used both. I needed something clustered in that corner, and the pumpkins seemed to fit the bill. You could do a pile of skulls, I suppose.
Yeah. Who doesn't need a good pile of skulls?
And the kit also comes with these little...
This is my favorite part, these rhinestones.
Little rhinestone swirls, which you'll see me struggle with later. I'm not going to lie to you. They're a little bit tricky.
They're a little fidgety.
Yeah, they tend to want to do their own thing, but I made it work. And here I am with getting one of the skulls. Just trying to add another spooky thing. And that didn't seem as... So I popped out as I wanted, so I took one of the die cuts and flipped it over and then inked the edges.
Nice.
And so it kind of stands out. And so in the end, this is kind of the layout I decided on for this one.
And there's a ton of die cuts that come with this, right? That are not the ones that we stamped.
Right.
That are from also Bo Bunny.
Right.
Ooh.
Oh, and then I just went onto Amazon. I wanted to have something special with this kid, and so I got this cream colored cheesecloth, and I inked it up and kind of ratted it out on the edges so that it was kind of ratty, and I have it just peeking out from behind the photos.
So
and this is
cool.
part of the kit too. You would get the cheesecloth in the kit, and
look
it just
at how
adds
cool that is under the photo.
Yeah, a little spider webby effect. And that little picture, I think the light is shining on it a bit much. You can't see, but it's my son standing on the kitchen counter, digging into the candy the day after Halloween.
On top of the refrigerator. And just climbed up on the fridge. I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
And so this is my second layout. This one I did a 5x7 picture. I had this picture in 4x6, but I just really liked it. It's all of our kids, Rachel's and my kids, on Halloween with their little costumes. And Truman as the Dapper Skeleton.
Yes, the Dapper Skeleton. That was a good year.
Yeah.
That was a good year. Yeah. And what ink are you using to color that cheesecloth?
Oh, good question. I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress Ink in Espresso. And I did some things I inked. You'll see I'm inking some papers and not inking others. And again, that's that Halloween kind of slightly off. Yeah. Some things are...
It's askew.
Yeah, and... with the little sign, the little spooky sign I'm working with, I've actually layered 2 different die cuts and there to offset it, because the little orange die cut that I had used on the previous page just blended too much into the background. So I put another one of the woodcut ones underneath there.
The darker.
Yeah, to kind of to make it pop a little bit. And the same thing with the poison sign. Yeah. I inked it so that it would pop a little bit off the page because it's a matching orange. It just kind of... Okay, so here I am. There's a little daisy that's included in your jewel pack that you get with this kit. And it doesn't really belong on a Halloween layout.
Halloween,
not so much.
Not so much.
So, yeah, so I went and I just, using my little snips, I pulled individual rhinestones off and I put them in the bubbles coming out of the cauldron. To give it a little sparkle.
Toil and trouble.
And then I
saw just now you pulled in the other page. Was that to just kind of compare?
Right, I wanted to see. And you'll see, originally I figured that this paper was going to be the second page, the right side page. And then I decided actually later on that it really belongs on the left side because of the way that the photos and the embellishments kind of flow from one side to the other. And maybe I'm overthinking it because I do that. But that's I kind of feel like there's this flow from the lower left corner all the way up to the upper right corner when you put the 2 pages, the orange one on the one side and the yellow on the other. I know.
It just wasn't working for you, and that's okay.
Yeah. So here I am, putting all that in place and just tucking it right under there.
Now, I just want to...
okay, so here we go. Wait a minute.
Yeah, here we go with the fiddly
bits.
So
my first thought was, well, I'll just kind of peel it off as I need it. Well, that didn't work for me. You can see I was like, okay, wait a minute, this is crazy. And it's kind of like trying to sew water, like you're just kind of like you're with this fluid thing and it will go back into its curvy forms, but you have to
you just have to work with it a bit.
You have to work with it a little bit. And again, it won't stick permanently until you press on it. So you have a little bit of wiggle room there.
Wiggle room is always good
to make that work. And so
I love those tickets.
Yeah,
I love those tickets. They're very cool.
They're also featured in our Nevermore 12x12.
Those same tickets.
The white tickets. They're off-white ones. And
so we do have another 12x12.
I had a little bit too much of a margin on the right side there, so I grabbed one of the die cuts in a skull and I tucked it in on the right.
Nice.
And so again, here they come. The jewels. Here we go. So Sarah's going, and I'm thinking, oh no, and I'm videotaping this.
But it always happens when you're live or when you're videotaping something.
You have one shot to get it done.
Yeah.
So it turned out okay. You have to kind of work with it a little bit. And sometimes the little jewel popped off, so I kind of put one back and made it work.
But just know that, you can certainly do that.
Right.
Now, what are you doing here with that gauze? How are you adhering that?
Yeah, I was going to ask glue dots, and here's why. I didn't want to use the snail, the double-sided tape that I've been using, because I felt like it wouldn't stick to the mesh as well, the cheesecloth.
Gauze.
So yeah, I wanted the gauze. When you use a glue dot, it's gummy, and so it kind of seeps into the pores of the fabric.
It eats it up.
Yeah, I usually use glue dots for fabric, and that's what I did with those photos.
It's got a little bit more oomph to it,
right,
than just the plain tape.
And then here we are putting that skull in place. And some things I popped up. I used dimensionals, and some things I did flat. It just...
See, as you're putting it together, you get to play with it and see what you like better. See
what works, right.
I love that little jar. And so you just picked one of the little elements and put it on the jar.
Acid drops.
It says scary.
It says acid drops, and I thought it'd be fun if I had like a tiny circle punch and I could put little drops, like different colored paper.
That would be fun.
I didn't have that.
And here's another jewel.
Yeah, and this one, now you'll see what happens here is I'm trying to lay this down, but I start in the wrong place because of it's just really hard to tell what the shape of it. So it ends up coming down onto the embellishments in a way that I didn't like. So I went back and I peeled up part of it and just snipped it right off and put it where I wanted it.
Go the other way.
There, done.
That's what's fun about these. I mean, they are fiddly, but you can make them be something different.
Right. So that's, yeah.
And that's that. Yeah. And Sarah, I think that looks great. I love it. It's got a good mix of different colors and textures and feel, and I think you did an awesome job.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
So, check it out in our shop, and thanks for visiting.
How much is it again?
$26. It's at finderskeeperscrafting.com.
And it is called Hocus Pocus 12x12 Memory Layout.
Correct.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.